Hi, my name's Nicole from Nicole Winkler Jewellery, and today I'm going to be talking about rubies, which are the birthstone for July. Rubies are also the traditional gem as a gift for the 15th wedding anniversary and the 40th wedding anniversary, so if that's not a good excuse, I don't know what is. Now, rubies are a very beautiful and very precious rare gemstone. Now, I know that you see a lot of them out there on the market, but for a really beautiful, high quality, high grade ruby, they can be one of the most expensive gems per carat of the coloured gemstone world. So there was a ruby called the Sunrise Ruby, and it was just over 25 carats, and it went for over $30 million just a few years ago. So that's the highest price per carat ruby. Absolutely stunning. Now, rubies have been used in jewellery for millennia, and they're known as the king of gems in Sanskrit. Rubies are the red colour of the corundum family. So rubies are 9 on the Mohs scale of hardness, and the only gemstone that's harder is a diamond. So they're perfect for everyday wear, for engagement rings, celebration rings. You can make a beautiful eternity band out of rubies for something different. Okay, so rubies, it's very rare for them to be in bigger sizes. Now, it's a little bit like buying a diamond. You have the 4 C's. Now, the most important out of the 4 C's with buying a ruby is colour. So people talk about pigeon's blood, and pigeon's blood is like a brilliant, bright red, but all rubies pretty much have a pink undertone to them. So you want a beautiful, bright gem. Something's got a lovely, strong, intense colour. If it's too light, it won't be as valuable. If it's too dark, then again won't be as valuable. Now, moving on from that, you've got clarity, and this is quite an important one with rubies. So the vast majority of mined rubies have maybe some silk in them, which is kind of a cloudy kind of look to it. A lot of them have lots of natural inclusions, which are little bits inside the stone. Now, rubies have been treated, which means they've had a treatment put on them, or they've been manipulated to become brighter or clearer or cleaner looking. Now, some of these are more permanent than others. So heat treatment is very, very common. And in fact, to get an untreated stone is quite rare. And if you're getting an untreated stone, it should be marked or sold as one. So here we have 2 rubies. Now, this one here is a natural untreated ruby. This one here has been treated, but you can see that it's not nearly as clear and clean, and it's also not nearly as sparkly. So here we have not great clarity, and we also don't have a very good cut. Whereas this one, the clarity is amazing, the colour is spectacular, and the cut is really, really beautiful. Subsequently, the price difference between these two is really quite marked. So treatments that are used on rubies are heat treatment, which will get rid of some impurities and make some stones brighter, a stronger colour. And another treatment is glass filling. So in that, the stone is initially heat treated, and then it's heat treated again with a surface powder, and that will then meld into the stone and fill any holes or cracks. So you might have a stone that's really not terribly beautiful, and it's heat treated and then glass filled afterwards. And the glass filling will make the stone look amazing, but you need to know whether it has been glass filled, because if it has been, and then you need to have it resized, or it's having some work done on it, can, if the jeweller doesn't know, they can then ruin that that treatment, and it goes back to its original, not very beautiful looking state. So it's important to buy from a jeweller that you trust and that will tell you exactly what kind of stone you're getting. So these lovelies are star rubies, and that star, that asterism on the top of the stone, follows the light. That's caused by impurities in the stone. Now the cut on a gem, especially with rubies, is always important. Now I'm very picky with the cut on my gems. A lot of gems, and especially rubies because they're so rare, they will cut around the rough material that you have. And they're not necessarily cutting for beauty. So it's more expensive to get a really beautifully cut gem, which will be bright and fiery and really interesting looking. Whereas if a gem's just been cut to make it as heavy as possible, then it won't have that beautiful play of light in it. And then carat. So to get a natural, untreated ruby, 2 carats, you'd be looking $30,000, maybe upwards of there. They're very rare, very valuable. Now, another thing that's really important when you're choosing rubies is where they've come from. So, in the past, Burmese rubies have been the gold standard of rubies, and you might have heard of Mogok mines. Now, all of the, a lot of history's really magnificent gems have come out of Burma, which is now known as Myanmar. And they have lovely, rich, intense colours to them. Now, if you're buying a ruby now, you need to question a little bit where your ethics lie. So a lot of the major jewellery companies have started not selling Burmese or Myanmar rubies because there's been a lot of political unrest and they're really now thought of as the blood diamonds of the coloured gem world. So when you're choosing a ruby from Myanmar, it's really hard to know whether the stone has been mined in a government mine or a privately owned mine. So if you want to make sure that your ruby hasn't funded any political activity that you're not comfortable with, it's best to choose a stone that's from a country entirely different. Now there's some really stunning gems coming out of Africa, from Mozambique, and they are more ethically mined gems. So this ruby is a beautiful gem from the mines in Mozambique. As you can see, it's got that lovely traditional ruby colour. Now, if you're after a really big, beautiful, deep cherry red stone, there are other alternatives to rubies that are really beautiful as well. There are some really lovely garnets. Now often people think of garnets as that kind of brick red, but you can get beautiful cherry red garnets called rhodolites. There are tourmalines. In fact, there's a form of tourmaline called rubellite, and that's a beautiful deep cherry pink red. And you can get something that's really large, beautiful, and a lovely rich juicy tone without the budget of the rubies. So here are a few alternatives. This one's pretty neon, amazing stone. This one's a rubellite tourmaline. This one is a spinel, and in fact, the Prince's ruby in the English crown jewels is actually a spinel, not a ruby. Confusing. And this is a purple garnet. So there are lots of really beautiful alternatives, but I think as a celebration for the 40th and 15th wedding anniversary, it's a really lovely symbolic gift, and they're beautiful to work with. They're really stunning gems. Now, if you'd like to have a chat with me about designing something for you or for your partner, you can reach me through my website, which is www.nicolewinkler.com, or I'm on Instagram and Facebook at Nicole Winkler Jewellery. So next month's birthstone is peridot, and I'll be back to chat with you about peridots then. And we'll also be looking at some other alternatives for coloured engagement rings, and what are good stones to choose and what are stones you should avoid. All right, thank you so much. I'm Nicole from Nicole Winkler Jewellery, and I'll see you again soon.